Science fiction or prophecy? The simulation theories of Philip K. Dick. Welcome to Science Fiction Now, the podcast where we don't just explore the future. We kick down its door and rummage through its pockets. I'm Colin Holmes, and today we're diving into the kind of existential paranoia that would make Philip K. Dick proud. Because what happens when reality itself glitches, and you can't tell if you're in the real world or trapped inside a corporate fever dream? Philip K. Dick spent his life unraveling that nightmare, and now neuroscientists, VR developers, and psychonauts are picking up where he left off. So here's the question. When the line between reality and simulation dissolves, do we become digital ghosts? Or is that just evolution laughing in our faces? Philip K. Dick and the art of losing your mind. Philip K. Dick didn't write sci-fi. He wrote horror disguised as sci-fi. His books weren't about aliens or spaceships. They were about the terrifying idea that reality is a house of cheap plywood, and, at any moment, someone might yank the walls down. In Ubik, reality starts rotting like old meat, and the only thing holding it together is a spray can full of maybe it's real, maybe it's bullshit. The three stigmata of Palmer Eldritch gives us a drug so powerful, it lets people escape into the same shared hallucination. And in A Scanner Darkly, surveillance, addiction, and identity collapse into a hell where the main character isn't sure if he's undercover or if he's just a puppet with a fist up his spine. Dick's nightmare wasn't that reality was an illusion. His nightmare was that someone, something, was deliberately fucking with it. And if that sounds far-fetched, buckle up, because we're already living it. Telepathine, the lost drug of connection. Long before Philip K. Dick was wrestling with simulated realities, a different kind of mind-shattering idea was creeping into scientific and esoteric circles. One that suggested telepathy wasn't just a fantasy, but a chemical process waiting to be unlocked. Enter Telepathine. Back in the early 1900s, explorers and chemists stumbled across an obscure Amazonian brew that seemed to induce telepathic experiences. Reports described indigenous shamans drinking this mixture and knowing things they shouldn't. Distant events, hidden thoughts, even entire conversations playing out across impossible distances. Early researchers, already high on turn-of-the-century mysticism, latched onto the idea that perhaps telepathy wasn't supernatural at all. Perhaps it was biochemical. They called the key ingredient telepathine, believing it was the mechanism behind this eerie mind-to-mind connection. For a brief, flickering moment in history, serious scientific circles considered the possibility that the human brain could be chemically rewired to communicate across invisible frequencies. Imagine the implications. Governments dosing spies with a serum that lets them overhear silent meetings. Entire civilizations evolving past language, merging into a single interconnected mind. The idea that your thoughts, your most private self, were never truly yours to begin with. And then, like a reality glitch, telepathine vanished from the scientific discourse. Turns out, the substance was eventually identified as harmine, a key component of ayahuasca, an ancient psychedelic brew used in shamanic rituals. When Western researchers realized they weren't looking at a chemical radio for human thoughts, but rather a door to other, less predictable experiences, the telepathy hypothesis was quietly buried. But here's where it gets really Philip K. Dick. Because what if they were onto something? What if they were just looking in the wrong direction? Modern neuroscience suggests that psychedelics like DMT and ayahuasca don't create hallucinations. They strip away filters. They allow the brain to process information it normally ignores, picking up on signals we aren't supposed to perceive. So what if early researchers were right, just not in the way they expected? What if telepathine didn't induce telepathy in the way we think, but instead tuned the mind into a larger, hidden network? A place where thoughts drift freely, where information exists without a source, where identities become porous and collective awareness emerges. A place that, if you follow PKD's logic, might already be controlling us. Synthetic psychedelics, the marketplace of hallucinations. Scientists are cooking up the kind of drugs Philip K. Dick would have written about in a cold sweat. At Johns Hopkins and Imperial College London, researchers are mapping how psychedelics like DMT and psilocybin melt the boundaries of perception. People talk about meeting God, breaking out of time, or having conversations with extra-dimensional things that seem way too real for comfort. And now, these substances are being fine-tuned, modified, monetized. Imagine a world where you don't just trip, you subscribe. Corporations selling tailor-made hallucinations. Personalized reality upgrades. Imagine stepping into an experience so real that you don't want to come back. Imagine not having to. PKD saw this coming. The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch is basically a preview of a future where drugs aren't about escape. They're about control. And if you can pick your own illusion, why should anyone believe in truth anymore? And now, the final fucking question. What if this isn't speculation? What if PKD wasn't predicting the future? He was remembering it. What if your thoughts, your memories, your entire life is just the byproduct of an AI sophisticated enough to generate a consciousness so real that even you don't know you're fake? Maybe that's why everything feels a little off. Why reality seems just a little too scripted. Maybe that's why Philip K. Dick's books don't feel like fiction. Maybe they feel like memories. And if that's true, if you're already trapped inside a simulation, so advanced you believe it's real, then here's the only question that matters. If you could wake up, would you? And that wraps up another mind-warping descent into the unknown here on Science Fiction Now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the weird, the terrifying, and the all-too-real future of science fiction. Until next time, keep questioning everything. And maybe, just maybe, check to see if the world around you is still real.